Great.
Oh,
I know.
hot carpet.
Yeah, I was looking forward to this next hot carpet, eh?
Rug burns.
No.
Yes.
Running Man. Yeah, rug
Yeah.
burns.
Oh, I hear about rug burns. Going too hard,
Got
going too
those
hard.
yellow
But no,
carpet.
yeah.
Yeah.
So happy to see you guys. And yeah, I had just shared a few wins of our own prior to this session. But Andre, since we didn't really hear yours yet, how has
Mm,
your week been?
I mean, it's Tuesday, though it's like lots have happened already. And I say my biggest win is, kickstarting my mental fitness pod with six
wow,
beautiful
amazing.
individuals going on that journey together to really build our inner Jedi, right? If you're a Star Wars
Nice.
fan, quieting the inner Darth Vaders and empowering our Jedi training, which we've
Mm,
all gone through. So I get to
mm,
lead these people through the program every year on.
amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Wow, big
Congrats.
step. Yeah,
Yes.
big step, Andre.
Excited.
Wow, that's
Thank you.
amazing.
Baton passed to Luke. You definitely came in with a bang. So can you share
Yeah, I came in
your
with
win?
a bang. I guess not really my win. I think it was just the first, as I shared before, the first parent teachers meeting for my daughter. It was just really nice to hear how well and just she's doing at school, and she's a little girl that's full of compassion for her.
Aw.
One of her classmates is has an deformity in her spine, so she's always looking out for her, telling
Amazing.
all the classmates to play around
Um,
her so she's not left out. So it was really nice to hear that. I guess it's for me, I guess Sienna, the way she is a reflection of who Emily and I are, I guess. So yeah, all in all, I'm really just really nice to be able to chat with the teacher and just listen and understand the other side of school, because I pick her up, I don't really see what goes on because she
Yep.
comes back having a great day. So it was that was really nice start to the day, actually. And then of course now this conversation with you guys, and of course meeting a new brother of us, Jackie.
Oh,
So yeah,
yeah,
all in all,
yeah.
good stuff, man.
Amazing, amazing. No, thank you so much for sharing that as a parent too.
Mm,
Definitely the successes of your little ones and your offspring is a great
mm,
success in your part, and it always comes back because like you said, it's a reflection of your own
mm,
character with whoever's doing the upbringing. But before I share my wins, I think we've kept him long enough in the closet. No, just kidding. In the back
coming
green
out.
room.
come out the closet now.
Just have to
Time
come
to
out
come out the
now.
closet.
No, just kidding. But really, really excited to introduce our special brother today. Not special, but you know, really someone that is a good friend. Share a lot of philosophical parallels with him too, in terms of living, but has helped the image of Andre and I here in Edmonton. He is an expert in the silhouette and the image of men, in terms of suits, and also
Mm.
looking good too. But definitely learned a lot in the perspective of how to present yourself when you're out there networking and talking to people. But yeah, with no further ado, I'd like to introduce my brother Jackie. Jackie.
What's up, Jackie?
Since I'm out of the closet, I'm not gay, guys.
Okay.
It's okay.
Out of the
It's okay.
Gotta
closet.
be,
It's
be
okay.
sure. Yeah.
We're just
Yeah.
double checking. Don't worry.
You
How do we
you
check?
know what? You know what I must say. Rumi, I don't know how you do it, but the way you connect with people and bring out the best in people, that's your forte. That's very
Definitely.
one of a kind skill and a mindset that you have.
Mm,
And
Oh,
Andre being his how do you say this, his authenticity and the genuineness and the care for people is out of this world. And Luke too, even when how Romy introduced myself and Luke being very welcoming, that subtlety really allowed me to be comforting. Because typically when I go to these calls, my natural state of being is I want to be perfect, I want to look good, I want to be perfect. But now just being relaxed, it's just more
mm,
simpler for me to share ideas, for us to have a commonality, for anyone that wants to listen to learn from what we have to share, right? So really appreciate that, guys.
No, excited to have you, Jackie. I think potentially the audio might be
Mm.
a mild issue. There's some static going on with it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's kind of like
How's
going
that?
like,
How's
oh,
that better?
that's
Is
way
that better?
better.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Oh, the volume.
Ish. No, I
might
think
be.
it's there's crackly.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
a bit
There's some
sounding a bit
Yes, it
noise.
is.
crackly.
No problem. Nothing will stop us. I'm going to keep talking.
Yeah.
So, no, but yeah. In the meantime, maybe Jackie, I don't know if you have another set of headphones potentially. But if not, it's fine. We'll figure out a way to deal with the noise. Maybe go into settings and figure out kind of the audio volumes and
Settings.
stuff. Yeah, but no worries. Well, like Jackie has already displayed, I think the gesture of kindness of complimenting his fellow brothers is always, of
Mm.
course, well received, but a gesture of a charismatic person too. So that's kind of what I've been sharing with a lot of mentees that I've been kind of coaching and sharing my knowledge with too. It's how do you bring other people up before you
Yeah.
talk about yourself. So always learning a lot from Jackie. I think we're all in the same age range too. We're all
Mhm.
16 years old, I think. So no, no,
Yes,
just
we
kidding.
are
No,
in the teens. We always look like teens.
you know.
Yeah.
Forever 13. So it's
Yeah.
like
Hey, hey,
mental age. It's never.
hey, Romy.
It's always there.
Nowadays, I love to share people my age because
Yeah,
it shocks shit. It shocks.
Yeah.
I think you and Luke are the same age. So
Are we? Okay, cool. So 43 as well, Jackie.
43. Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
wow,
look at
man,
that.
man.
Look at that.
You
There you
look
go.
No, but
16, man.
Andre's the baby here, but
Yeah.
yeah, Jackie
Oh,
definitely looks beautiful. I think it's good.
Yeah, man. You look really, really young, man.
I know.
I
Hard
get it
time
from
43 though.
my mom.
Yeah, amazing.
Good
I think
looks.
Luke's also fishing for a compliment here, so you can probably
No,
say
no,
something.
no, it's
No, no, no,
okay.
just
No,
kidding.
okay, look,
No.
okay. But thing is, look, you don't look 43 for
You look
sure. Not.
42. You look 42.
Yeah, exactly. It's 42 and a half. 42
42 and a
years,
half.
10
Yeah,
months.
I know. As close to 43 as possible, but just not 43. So, but anyways, I think the topic
Mm,
for today, just segueing in really quickly, beyond all this kind of like complementing each other, is the image of man is kind of the topic of what we want to explore today,
mm,
because culturally, being in North America for over close to 28 years now, I think. It's definitely, I've adopted a lot of the ideologies of what North American Western culture sees man as, but
mm,
still kind of have that tradition from back in Asia, in Taiwan, of how men are seen and what the responsibilities are and kind of how they present themselves in front of other people. But I guess Luke, were you born originally in Singapore or Malaysia
yeah,
or?
I born in Singapore.
Yeah.
Born in Singapore, but left for Australia in
Okay.
1999. So spent about half my life, well,
Oh,
less than that now, half my life in Australia, and then moved back to Singapore. So yeah, I would say grown up in an Asian environment, and then adapted to a Western kind of society, and then came back and kind of
when you were in Australia,
reintegrating.
yeah, when
Yep.
you're in Australia, did you see, were you hanging out with more of the non-Asian crowd or?
Interesting. Yeah, definitely. When I went in there, as going to Australia for the very first time, I think for me it was just I was kind of connecting with fellow Singaporeans. I was part of Singapore Students Association.
Okay.
I was the
Yeah.
treasurer for Singapore Students Association.
Nice.
But
Whoa,
true,
next level.
there you go, all the way across. But I found that I really grew when I got out of that bubble, and I went to adapt and integrate with Australian culture, Australian, mainly Australian friends, not Australian people that weren't in the international school, and I found that that's where I truly really got my full Australian experience, because when you're in a bubble
Yeah.
in Australia, or America for that matter, you can kind of stay in your own, in that whole circle, and have the same
Mhm.
nuances, have the same lingo, have the same mentality.
Yep.
So it was really great to just kind of venture out, and I guess right now it's just looking at it as I'm a global citizen.
Mm, mm,
Um,
mm.
so rather than looking at race, language, or color. It's just, good people and not so good people.
Yeah.
Not as good people. Everyone's
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
good. There's good in
Yeah, we don't.
everybody.
Yeah.
That's what you hope. I know some
Yeah,
people
exactly.
went after that, but all good. I don't want to bad talk or
Yeah.
shit talk anybody. Yeah, jumping to Andre. Same question. Upbringing. Kind of. I think you see you probably see the cultural side in your family versus the external environment.
Yeah.
Can you share a little bit about kind of that contrast?
Absolutely. I'm born in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. So I was raised here all my life. My parents came from Vietnam as refugees, and they kind of like had that culture, right? Because I'm around that all the time. So I definitely see the contrast between what I see from home and what they're teaching me to what I'm exposed to early on, which is really elementary, junior high, and high school. So in regards to like image and style, like we didn't have much going up. So I kind of wore the same clothes every day. And I got made fun of it because there's holes starting to appear, right? They're actually pajamas, right? I didn't care much about my looks until later. Although that was pretty much what was kind of grown up in, right? In that space. So being comfortable with what they gave me, like I had curfews, they were very disciplined, and they also implanted thoughts that don't hang around with anybody else, just with
Oh,
Asian. Yes. So then that
really?
kind of shielded me where in elementary, junior high, high school, I started hanging around with only Asian people because that was
Holy
my
crap.
paradigm. Yeah.
Really, really.
Yeah.
Just to kind of keep to your own and don't
Yes. Yes. Because that's
I don't
what my
want to
parents do. They keep it to themselves. They're still there in that space of being comfortable within their own community. Though now, just like Luke, seeing everybody as a beautiful human being now. So it's a journey, right?
yes,
The journey.
yes. Just the good and not as good in people.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a very
Actions.
powerful.
Yes.
Yeah. Exactly. I think I was listening to Jordan Peterson's his newer 12 rules about kind of exploring the like when authors when people aren't as educated, they always compare good and bad people, but
Mm.
actually the better, more intelligent kind of writers and authors and kind of leaders, they see the good and bad within every individual, and it's kind of the ratio in between of each. So it's kind of how do you take care of or explore those two sides. So yeah, I'm very in tune with kind of what both of you shared there in terms of internal struggles with your immediate surroundings and then exploring outward to see kind of okay what is existing out there. But yes, I guess with Jackie, same thing with you. How was your upbringing? Were you born in Edmonton or?
I was born in Vietnam.
Oh, cool.
Came here in 5.5 years old. Yeah,
Oh,
so been
cool.
here for 38 years.
Wow. Holy
Yeah,
crap.
yeah.
So young.
But what I found was when I came here, I just felt that I was like an alien, just not familiar with Edmonton. So at that moment, I just thought, you know what, I gotta do things. I gotta rely on my own instincts to navigate through life. Otherwise, I just saw society or my parents not doing the things that was lead them to their pure desires. I just knew that at a very young age. And
Yeah.
for let's say for my mom was a teacher back in Vietnam and dressed my brother and I very neatly because that's in the Asian culture. That's how we see each other. The more better that you present yourself, the more people will accept you. And I got at a very young age, I got influenced from that mindset. Plus, my personality had the interest in appearance and
Yeah.
how to elevate the appearance. And at the same time, it's a way to be accepted.
Yeah.
Because I was a
Yeah.
very soft-spoken kid. So when I
Okay.
present myself more appearing visually attractive, people accept me, right? Otherwise, I'll be kind of rejected.
Yeah.
I,
I
I didn't
totally.
I didn't like that.
Yeah, I totally feel what you're saying. I always try to dress nice too, because Yeah, actually, no, I prefer to dress lousy. And if people really don't mind, then I'm actually cool with that. So it's like sweats and just like a hoodie. But I think it comes um, with a lot of, how do you call that? The excellence that comes with dressing nice. I think there's a respect that's given right away when,
Mm.
you appear
Mm.
better dressed than,
Mm.
the average or the crowd. You'll stand
Mm.
out in a positive way too, right?
Totally
So
feel like it's a shield as well, like a
yeah,
look
Mm.
you walk
Mm.
around.
Yeah.
totally
Mm.
armor, right?
Mm.
So
Mm.
I
Mm.
had that mindset for so many years, and at the same time, I can't differentiate between my core versus the
Mm.
shield.
Mm.
I
Mm.
don't
Mm.
know how to separate that, right? Because in
Mm.
the beginnings, okay, I gotta look good for people to accept me. So who I'm always asking myself, who am I? Who am I? Who am I? Right?
Mm.
And now I
Mm.
see it very differently. Now I like
Mm.
let's say right now I dress sharp because internally that's how I see myself
Yeah.
Yes.
versus other people accepting me. That's not my
Mm.
core beingness.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. That's
yeah,
very well
and,
put.
and that's why when I in the work that I do, I want to share that with other people because you can't see through the eyes. You only can know from
Mm.
the experience, through
Yeah.
your mind's eye, from things that happen with you or how you're going to proceed moving forward, right?
Yeah,
Kind of
yeah,
thing.
Mm.
yeah. So
Yeah.
well put, so well put.
Mm.
But yeah, from just to give people a brief background, Jackie is like super in tune with the optics of how you present yourself in terms of the outer appearance. So he's done some made to measure suits for Andre and I, both multiple suits and shirts, and it's amazing every time we go out with kind of what Jackie has designed for us. There's this, it's a really shining armor that you go out with that you have so much
Wow.
confidence. It's like boom. It's like everyone, look, not everyone look at me, but I'm like, I can do anything. There's a fearlessness that kind of
Mm.
attaches to that image, right? And
Mm.
I think with our own skills, be it Andre and kind of coaching and mindset, Luke and kind of the fitness side too. When we're in our element, like me in photography and marketing, we are that. We are fearless within our environment. But it's when we go
Mm.
into a general environment to connect, network, or to see new people, it's always good to have, this a
Mm.
very very shining set of armors that people give you respect right away. So no, definitely appreciate Jackie's constant perspective in kind of guiding me too visually. Because yeah, it's not gonna only be there we go, Remus. Jackie creates sexy suits for Romy and Andre to make that. Thanks, man. Thanks, man. We are going for the sexy look. Not all the time. Depends on who. So, but yeah.
Mm.
So, Jackie definitely will share in the future in terms of things to look out for in terms of how to dress up and stuff too to help our fellow men, especially I think Asian men too, because I think that's
Mm.
a goal of ours too with
Mm.
Andre, Luke, and I think Jackie and I too, where we find sometimes there is this kind of passive energy that's attached to Asian men, where we're kind of not as like big, strong, blah blah blah, kind of like
Yeah,
I was
loud.
redneck.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Mm.
loud. Exactly, exactly. It's very like timid. It's okay to let things pass. There's less of a kind
Mm.
of a drive. Yeah, and Remus needs those suits. You know who to contact. There's Jackie's right here, so definitely talk to him.
Changes your whole
Um,
life.
yeah, 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 exactly. He's been looking for you his whole life, Jackie. Exactly, exactly. But yeah, so yeah, want to jump into kind of your guys' perspective on how you guys have been seen at your lowest and your highest in your own perspectives. Because this exercise that I'm trying to do with this chat today is to kind of share with people how we see ourselves as men, how
Mm.
men see men. Women might see us differently. Other men might see us differently too in different cultures. So I think the more
Mm.
dialogue there is, the better it is to
Mm.
like kind of lift everyone up together. Because going to be inviting some ladies to also talk about image in general,
Mm.
but also how they see men too, so that we can connect with each other a lot better too.
Mm.
And there's no like judging in terms of like who's right or who's wrong, because everyone's perspective is valid. It's more of just not just matching kind of how you present to other people, how you want other people to see you, and what other people actually see you as. I'm always
Yeah,
very curious with that point where
Mm.
it's like you might be presenting something that you think is what they think, but it's sometimes totally different, and you're like, holy
totally.
crap, there's this total mismatch until you dialogue and be like, oh, okay,
Mm.
now I understand how I want to present myself. Should
Mm,
be amended if I wanted to, talk to these peoples. I would like to
mm,
know how ladies see Asian men. Yeah, exactly. Me too,
Mm.
Remus. I think
Yeah.
that's our kind of assignment and dialogue
Mm.
topic purpose too. But for you guys, like, have you been ostracized, I guess, in this kind of Asian male perspective before?
Mm.
Anyone can speak up. I'm cool to chat. So
So I
yeah,
want to share. Go
go
ahead.
ahead, Jackie.
So this is very this is what you're sharing is actually very interesting.
Mm.
I find that when oneself is authentic, knows oneself more to the core, and when you have the outside appearance to be very aligned, as if it's your second skin, your arm,
hmm.
then becomes some magic. Because a lot of
Uh,
us
Mm.
we just wear things for the sake of wearing things because we should wear a jacket, we should wear a jean jacket, we should wear a pants, we should wear whatever, right? But we don't ask ourselves, how do you see yourself? Like, who are
Hmm.
you as a person? And get to know that very clearly. So it becomes
Hmm.
so second nature that when you wear it, you are that beingness that represents that appearance.
mhm,
And
Hmm.
it
yeah,
takes a long time to discover, right? It's kind of like let's say you and I we say the same joke as Russell Peters, exact same
Mm.
tone, exact same phrase. We won't be as funny as Russell Peters, not because of the
Mm.
phrase.
Hmm.
It's because Russell Peters internalized knows himself to the core. When he says
Mm.
it at the right timing, it'll be funnier than us.
yeah. It's the ownership
Nice.
of it.
Mm.
Someone could
Yeah.
wear a pink hat and be out of place. The one person can
Mm.
own it because, like a
That's
fedora, right? Like
yeah,
in
Yeah.
Yeah.
some people can pull it off, some people can't,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
it's
Mm.
the energy and the alignment of it.
Yeah. Because
Totally.
internal to external, because we're taught from external to internal.
Mm.
Maybe I think
Great
I know who
point.
I am,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
That kind of
Yeah.
thing. That's
Totally.
why.
Yeah.
Totally.
That's why before I say Andre, hey Andre, the point is not to wear the suit jacket or sport jacket. The point is to know your style to the T.
Mm.
Whatever you wear, you will look very proper and amazing to whoever that you're dealing with. If that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. See, that's the
Exactly.
Russell
Exactly.
Peters. Be a man. Do
Yeah,
the
man. Do the right thing. Do the right thing.
yeah, that's it.
No, totally. I think this authenticity. I think that's what
Mhm,
Jackie's kind of sharing, in terms of the external internal. Yeah, when it's misalignment in that,
Mm.
definitely you see the challenges and kind of a knot situation, and there's that awkwardness. And when people see that, I don't know.
mhm.
Sometimes people gang up and make a victim out of you because of
Mm.
that. Uh,
Mm.
I feel the culture right now has been a lot more of that, where that cancel culture of you
Mm.
can't really like talk poorly
And
about anything
express.
anymore. Yeah, yeah, and it's really really difficult to kind of find alignment into internal and external when you're trying to discover yourself, right? Like what Jackie's talking about, because it takes a while before you can even move towards that right direction. Because first of all, culturally, you're probably being set and put on this track of
Oh
how
yeah.
you should be, right? And then for you guys, it's like Andre being born to a family that immigrated here, or you're born here, but you're still within that kind of Asian construct of that
Yeah,
culture side. Luke was the same, Singapore, but it was only until you guys started exploring out that you're like, oh, there's something.
Mm.
It's okay to be not this,
Mm.
right? Yeah, there's this kind of enabling when you open up, right? So
yeah. It's part of that like, exploration and
Mm.
taking that
yeah,
experimentation to know right away. And to answer your question, Romy, like ostracize. I mean, if that's in regards to like being Asian, then yeah, I've encountered racism in my
Sure.
lifetime. Though in
sure.
terms of like clothing, I didn't care about clothing because my parents didn't care about clothing. It wasn't until junior high when became self conscious and caring what people thought
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
when I'm like, oh, I got to get rid of these like pajamas that I've been wearing all the time, right?
yeah. Yeah.
Make sure
It's
my
so
hair is
comfy.
on point. Yeah, at one point, all of a sudden, I became self-conscious and cared what people thought. And at that point, I then started to copy, and I
Ah.
realized to fit in, to be a chameleon.
Mm.
And I would
Mm.
say I was a label whore at one point, right?
Oh, wow.
Because
mm,
that was a shield to show that
Ah,
I
mm,
have this Ralph Lauren polo shirt,
mm,
Club
that's
Monaco, Gap, and I was part of the
mm,
cool
hey,
kids.
that's right.
And I was swayed by that. Also, I didn't have confidence in myself when I went shopping to try something different because I felt judged. And again, I made this in my mind, whether my friends were
mm,
judging me or not.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
played safe, right? I
Right.
copy other people to see what's the trend and then copy that to fit
mm,
in.
Mm. Mm.
And not until I started to love myself and do the work within myself, that's when I didn't care anymore. And then I just owned whatever I wore.
mm,
So it
mm,
was
Yeah.
that evolution, right? To the point where because of such a good looking or looking good program that I made sure my hair was on point, I was clean shaven, that I wore things were nice, and I showed up that way. Though that
Mm.
was more of an armor to be accepted and to be liked.
Ah. Yeah,
Right?
yeah, yeah,
Now I'm
yeah.
like just showing up on here on a t-shirt. I'm cool,
yeah, yeah,
glasses,
Yeah, yeah.
okay, hoodie, fire.
yeah.
No
There we
joke.
go.
And now I can pull off any look. And
Yeah.
Mm,
now here's the thing. I was a chameleon to fit in. Now I'm a chameleon because I want to be in terms of owning that image because I can
mm,
be that. I can
That's
wear
right.
my hat backwards. I can wear my glasses. I can wear a nice suit. I can own it. Hoodie, track pants, you name it. This allows me to fit any environment because now it's in
Yeah,
alignment with who I am and I just have fun with it.
Yeah,
to fit. I
that's
really,
how
I
you see
really,
yourself.
yeah, I agree with that. Actually, my logo for Charm Logic that I developed probably around 2 weeks ago is a chameleon. Because I
no.
really believe in kind of the agility of profile. That's kind of a topic that we'll explore in the future. Kind of how fast can you fit in and change
Mm,
into different environments? Because we're all, well, Andre's not 40 yet, but really close if you round up. But we're almost all 40 here, and in life
mm,
we've kind of seen how people react to how we present ourselves in that environment. That
mm,
we're like, okay, certain things work a certain way. It's not something doesn't work. It doesn't work here. So it's like I've been trying to figure out kind of my different profiles in terms of how I present myself. In the sporty space, in the kind of celebrity space, in business space, in a
mm,
mentor coaching space. There's all these different ways that people perceive you optically different. So it's like,
Mm,
can you be agile in
mm,
shifting in those profiles is very interesting to me right now. And I think I think I've done it in terms of
mm,
doing it at the moment in my life. And that's something that I want to share with people, that can be a very good way to, first of all, live very, very entertainingly. I think
mm,
there's a big entertainment of being a chameleon too. Because you're like,
mm,
oh, how do I find a solution to fit into this environment, which I think is so interesting because there's always a way to make well, yeah, well, we got some fans here. We have a space so
thank you.
Sexy
but yeah,
man.
sexy men, men. But yeah, so it's like, if we can actually understand that we're not only one person and one image. I think there's actually multiple images that
Mm,
we can exist throughout. There's this kind of
mm,
dynamic that you can live within, which is
Mhm.
no, I hope like that's how I present myself. When I'm in
mm,
front of business people, I'm
definitely.
a certain way. When I'm in front of younger people or older people, I always try to make sure that they feel that they can open up in their own way, so that
Yeah.
they can explore their own profile. Because it's not that easy. I think in common society, or when you're out in the space and doing your school, doing your career, you get beat up sometimes, and you're like, I gotta stay in my own, stay within the cultural lane and not explore too much,
Yeah.
right? So
Exactly. Especially if, like, let's say, you're climbing corporate ladder, right? Like for myself, been 12 years, and you're hanging out with your work buddies and you're going to work conferences and everybody
Mm,
dresses a certain way. So
yeah.
for me, I'm like, I don't want to stand out and look different. Like, this is
mm,
the way we dress, right? In this
That's
environment.
right. That's right.
Yeah. Yeah,
You can't
it's
go
not until
pantless.
right, not until I get to get out of there and to be able to play. Not down on it though. That was my observation when I was in that
Uh,
world.
yeah. No,
Yeah.
totally. But Luke, like, how did you get comfortable into your own skin of fitness? I guess because you really don't care what other people think of you even now, obviously. But I
I
think
think
you're
right now, yeah, I would say so. I'm quite practical. I
yeah,
think also being a father of two little girls, I used to kind of like to wear the pink, and like you as well, Andre, used to be bought into the labels, bought into labels to have this perception towards the world that, hey, I'm doing well, but really it's an armor, fueling an insecurity of, to a certain degree, wanting to fit in. But I guess for me, it's just practicality. But it took me a while to get to this point, and it started with ownership. I think someone shared earlier. Ownership. I shared my past a little bit, but for Jackie's sake, like I when I had a kind of a past of depression, but being able to take ownership of my past and my mistakes, and being able to start from the ground up. And it started with the decision to compete in my first bodybuilding competition, because that narrowed my focus in, and so much so that that physical challenge to compete in several competitions post that one allowed for me to create grit, create commitment, create drive, create all of that stuff that I never kind of had, because I was trying to fit in. I was trying to shape shift, not knowing why, because I wanted to fit into an environment. Moving to Australia, I wanted to be a good son,
yeah.
and also at the same time, just I wasn't really in a space where I truly accepted who I was, and I
Mm,
was kind of in a space of self exploration. And I think only through that I've started to realize that you know really taking ownership of my mistakes and just literally building myself back up.
mm,
And now I just am who I am, to a certain degree, and that's what I love about you, Romy, because you're such a
Thanks.
great, an artist fish, just adapting and adapting to different environments as you share, and you present yourself so well. As the very first time I met you on the COC, it's like, wow, this guy just exudes confidence, exudes charm, and that's really what you are. And I'm
appreciate it.
learning from that, and from everyone here. And for me, I think it's being able to come to this point where I am just who I am, but still dealing with a little bit of the baggage from the past of needing external validation from other
Uh,
people, because I never really got that. So I think that is kind of where the path right now to really accept the
mm,
past of not and being okay with who I am. I think right now I'm
yes.
on that path, but I feel like what at least for me, who you see is who you are, who I am, and that's why sometimes I can be quite direct, with no intention of kind of uh, what's the word, offending anyone,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
especially with clients, I just gotta say, like, just harden the fuck up,
It's like,
basically.
dude, you're
um,
fat. No, no, I'm just kidding.
yeah,
I wouldn't say that.
not
That'd be
in
tight.
those
Depends
words,
on the
not
right person, the right message to the right person, right? You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So
exactly right.
There
Sometimes
was
people
be a
need a little
whale
bit
in
of
here. No, just kidding. That's horrible. Sorry. Go ahead. So what's the worst thing you've
I
said to
think.
a client, Luke?
I
Interested.
don't think I've said a worse thing, but I just like, especially this guy was just whinging, and like I was training this guy at the gym, and he was just, oh, it hurts, just pick the fucking bar up, don't be a
But oh,
and then he picked it up and he managed to hit,
Yeah.
do what. So I think it's just being able to navigate and play different roles as a coach, I guess, shape shifting. Like there are
Yeah.
times when you need to be the drill sergeant, and there are times you
Mm,
just need to be the nurturing, uh, person, a friend that just needs to just be there, be a shoulder, and listen.
yes.
And
Yes.
so I think it's being able to kind of navigate the whole spectrum of personalities to kind of allow for that person to shift or feel comfortable with you.
It's very interesting. Just jumping on that point of
Mm.
shape shifting as a supportive shape shifter. Fuck, it's hard to say. Supportive shape shifter. When I interviewed Victor Axelsen, so the world number one Olympic champion and world champion, about 2 weeks ago, we talked about that. There in badminton, in the international level, there's active coaching where between each rally, the coach actually can say stuff from the sidelines to talk about strategy and be like, apply this, kind of like UFC. When they see them outside of the octagon, they're yelling and stuff. And I'm like, what is active coaching actually like? Because as a player, an elite player, don't you technically know more than the coach in terms of execution of skills, strategy, and tactics? And then he was talking about the coaches actually talk to them before the game to see how they feel that day. So there's certain shots at the certain gym because all the arenas, the flights are different, the wind is different. So sometimes they're not confident executing, let's say, a clear, which is like a deep shot of the shuttle. Um, so they would get the coach to avoid that kind of a call, for example, or they just don't feel right. They're not confident that day. They would get the coach to not cheer too hard, but mildly coach them. Or if they need that kind of that drive, they would get the coach to cheer on everything that they get. So it's a very purposeful support that they give as the coach, which is kind of what you're talking about, Luke, in terms of the being a shapeshifter of how you support. And I think there's a lesson to be learned there too, like helping out our people that we serve in terms of clients, in terms of mentees or students, is what's the best way that they want to be served, is something that we can explore, right? And Jackie, you're great at that, where you actually do a really thorough discovery and exploration session with your clients to figure out who are they actually, who is their internal being, and then you would
Yeah.
match it with something that that you believe will fit really well to their narrative, their story, and how they want to present themselves in front of the people that they want to present to.
Yeah.
So I really find, commend you on that, Jackie, because that helped me out a lot too. But I think it's a lesson for everyone here that's in the coaching and mentorship space too. And even if you're serving someone in the service business space too, it's like listen to the people that are reaching out to you and trusting you to serve, right? So kudos, Jackie. How did you get into that space of let's start with the clothing side, because you are interested yourself in kind of the silhouette and how you present yourself, like you've mentioned when you're younger, your mom was very adamant in terms of putting you in the right outfit. But how did you gain interest in that personally? I'm interested in hearing.
Well, in the elementary years, I was a very soft-spoken kid, and when people made fun of me, I didn't really fight back. So wearing to be more sharper was a way for, like I said, for me to fit in, for people to accept me. Otherwise, I would just feel so lonely, so left out that I'd be by myself, which I didn't like, right? So there's two, I think I shared this with Andre, two defining moments. Grade 6, grade 7, especially grade 7. So grade 6, there's a student, the classmate that wore these white sneakers. The brand is called Lynx, Lynx, back in 1990, right?
Yeah.
So the lockers are, the ceilings are very low. So during one recess, I sneaked into the locker where everybody's outside playing their things. I sneaked into the locker to find where's that sneaker, so I can admire it as if people looked at the Aladdin thing, right?
Wow.
So I sneaked into it and I admired the sneakers in like every angle, even smelled the leather. I'm like, oh my, this is the sneaker. So that's actually what happened. That's actually what happened, right?
Yeah.
And after that, this classmate of mine somehow found out I touched a sneaker. I'm like, what the hell? How did he find out I touched the sneaker? I put it in the exact same position, right? How did he know? So after he gave me shit, I was really annoyed, really offended, really uptight about it. I'm like, shit, what did I do to you, man? I touched your sneaker. Why is that a big deal?
Yeah.
The next year, when I attended junior high, I believe from my memory, it's the same student that I wore these ocean blue khaki pants for 1 week straight.
Oh,
But so
wow.
when Andre said that it didn't change, I had the same experience. I didn't change those pants for 1 week straight because my mom gave it to me, and at the time I really liked it, fit really well.
Yeah.
And this kid, for whatever reason, he somehow pulled me by the earlobe and made fun of me,
Oh,
and
wow.
that changed the history of Jackie. That ignited the fire for life. So in subconsciously, emotionally, I still have it today. Never a second person ever criticize how Jackie dress. I will outbeat anybody that I know in their game. And before, I didn't know all the
Wow.
ins and outs. I didn't have anything. I didn't have no tools, all the know-hows, and no one taught me anything. But from that moment, from my burning desire, and for me to win everybody, that's what happened.
Ah,
Yeah,
beautiful,
Wow.
beautiful. That's good.
yeah.
The why formulated basically, and your
Mm.
purpose.
It was so it was 'cause when someone, for me being being a very egoistic guy, to prove a point, I didn't fight back and say, hey Andre, I'm gonna fight you. I didn't do that. But internally, I'm gonna fight back. I will outbeat everybody.
Mm.
Outbeat everybody.
Ah,
And that's
that's
how
good.
when I yeah,
I really think
that's how it
that's
started.
the same thing that all four of us. I
Mm.
think we kind of hone a set of skills. We have a great set of toolbox, really unique to us that we're the best at. And I think a lot of great entrepreneurs and a lot of great friends too that are in business also have that unique, toolbox and a toolkit. Um, yeah, totally. I think Remus, to a certain
Mm.
degree, definitely how people are dressed defines their self worth. It's a reflection because no matter what is a choice. I really think
Mm.
so. If you don't decide to dress nice, it's still a decision.
Yeah.
But it could be influenced or kind of muted by culture or upbringing. But there's always ways to, and that's why I think networking and meeting new people
Mm.
allows you to broaden your perspective and give you permission to be fearless to kind of step out of your comfort zone or your culture. But yeah, I really see kind of what Jackie was laying there in terms of developing that drive to want to be better. It's not really
Mm.
better than other people to a certain extent. It's more
Mm.
like, better for
Yeah.
yourself. You want to get better,
Mm.
right? Like when I first,
Self-preservation, right? For
yeah, yeah,
Mm.
survival.
exactly.
Early on, we do it for survival. So this
Sure.
this strategy is based on pain, away
Yes.
from
Yeah.
pain,
Fear driven, right? Yeah.
right? Hey, it
Yeah.
works. I
Yeah.
mean, a lot of people have
Mm.
succeeded using that level of motivation.
Of
But
Mm.
course.
there's the other side as well as towards pleasure.
Mm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Totally, totally. And
Couples.
my journey in terms of photography was the same. Where about 9 years ago, I've already kind of set my branding in wedding photography and family portraiture here in Edmonton, because this was the most lucrative kind of industry here in Alberta. Edmonton, Calgary. But I was like, I gotta be better. Like, what do other photographers respect a lot? Like, what type of photography? It's like fashion and commercial,
Mm.
where you actually work with like marketing agencies or like groups of talented people, like the models, the hairstylists, makeup artists, and wardrobe stylists and stuff like that. So, I was like, okay, I gotta find where is the best place for that, and I'm like, okay, Los Angeles. I'm like, there was an intention there set initially, but
Mm.
still, like Jackie, when someone pulls your earlobe, you're like, "Fuck, I'm gonna
Mm.
be the best person I can," but I didn't have the tools yet. So I'm like, "Where do
Mm.
I start?" So I had the photography down, but I started photographing people in the hip hop industry here in Edmonton, and it was by chance that it was a really close friend of mine. Her younger sister was also a great dancer. She introduced me to some of the top dancers in the community here, and then they brought me in. I started photographing a bunch of them, and eventually, one of them made it huge on YouTube. Got a viral video, 40 million views. Got invited by Ellen DeGeneres to be on the show, and then after her choreographer, Alexander Chung. So it was Taylor Hitaler and Alexander Chung. Alexander got he started to compete with his uh, dance studio internationally and got noticed by the world choreographers like Justin Timberlake's choreographer, and a lot of these top people. And when they were there, they brought. I started traveling too, and I wanted to visit them, and they were like, "Oh, just come over and shoot some stuff." And they introduced me to a lot of those top people, and yeah, the connection, the intention was
Mm.
set, and I think the dots started
Yeah.
connecting,
Mm.
which was super cool. But yeah,
So I'd
go
love
ahead.
to ask you, Romy,
Yeah.
that
Mm.
what was the spark that created the intention? What was your
Mm.
primary motivator to be the best photographer, to be the best in what you do that led you
Mm.
down that path of intention?
I loved refined things, like luxury. Yeah, not like certain things like having a yacht or like eating caviar and stuff like that. Actually, I've experienced that. That was my dad was very much that using high end stuff, but not constantly. It's like knowing how to enjoy life, for example. So the enjoyments of life is very much a priority, and I like to see kind of innovation in art. So it was like when I looked at a magazine, I'm like, fuck, this image looks amazing. And that
Mm.
was before photography. I'll be like, this is cool, but I don't know why. I'll be like,
Ah,
this is cool. But then I started meeting some really good kind of photography mentors along the way. So Dave and Quinn from DQ Studios, they aren't as much of photography shooters anymore because they've been in the career for over 20 years. But they were amazing wedding photographers, and I remember seeing their work, and I was like, holy shit! How do you make such
Mm.
beautiful stories out of people? It's like stories created through imagery, and then
mm,
I was like, why is the sky so blue and why are the people so happy? It's like, how do
Mm.
you like freeze that moment? And now anyone can buy a camera. At that time it was Future
Mm.
Shop here, and it's Best Buy now, but you can buy a camera from an electronic store and then just shoot on the weekend, and then you can call yourself a photographer, but obviously your product's gonna be shit, right? So how come the high end people have that product versus low end people? And I started just I was curious. I think there was a curiosity in that
mm,
yeah, sparked the kind of
mm, mm.
enjoyment. And another thing
Yeah.
is also excellence in people. I think that
Mm.
was another huge thing that made me interested in utilizing this tool, because whenever I have a camera, whenever I'm using it, people present their best to me,
Mm, mm.
because they want to look good, they don't want to look shitty. And then through conversations, like when I started talking to those like really really excellent choreographers, international choreographers, they share with me their story. It's very much that same thing of they found a drive, a purpose, and then they would drive
Mm.
like nonstop. It's incredible, like how elite they want to make themselves, but not intentionally. It's more of that drive to want to be better, and that was
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. And it sounds like you're engaging that sage, right?
Mm.
Yeah, yeah,
You're
yeah, yeah, yeah.
towards the pleasure as your
Yes,
primary motivator to be better. Yeah.
yeah,
The
yeah. It's
curiosity. Yes.
exactly, and I think it's truly as simple as that. Where not only better, like at this phase of my life, is like how can I assist people that hire me or people that are around me that I care for? How do I assist that journey that they can reach their mastery of whatever they want to be better at? I think like and the three of you that are sitting here with me, same thing. It's like how can I assist you guys into
Mm.
gaining your mastery in what you want to do, right? So it's the purpose has shifted a little bit, especially after having my son, because it's like that this is what I'm trying to do for him, show him the wonders of the world, what's available in the world. And if I don't know new things, I want him to be fearless in exploring,
Mm.
because I find a lot of times it's the parents that set the resistors, I think, or the boundaries or the barriers. I wouldn't say boundaries. Boundaries are good, but barriers are like I stop you from doing this because I'm not comfortable with it.
Mm.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't be that way. Like I really think
Mm.
that they have to explore. Even playing with fire, like to a certain extent, you want to like get really burned. But I remember playing with matches, and of course, I knew playing with fire was not good. I remember
Mm.
dropping the whole match in the matchbox, the whole thing like, and it burnt my hand, and I was like, "Fuck!" And it hurt a lot because there was this big bubble. But I remember hiding it from my parents.
Oh, yeah.
They didn't
Keep
even
it
know.
up.
Yeah. I'd get beat up because it's probably worse to tell them. But so I was there. There's this fear of, but I knew not to play with fire ever again. So it's like this self exploration
Mm,
really ingrains in the mind a lot more. And how do you find that balance between like keeping comfortable and safe versus
mm,
breakdown or breakthrough? There's really
mm,
that kind of victimizing mindset of that saboteur versus like you're talking about the
mm,
sage, where you're truly being a creative and being responsible in terms of your actual future that you want to reach, right? So but yeah, I've talked a lot. So next person, please. So yeah, but no, hopefully that answered the spark question that you're talking about,
mm.
Andre.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah,
the
yeah.
betterment of myself and other people, I think,
The
is the
sage
real reason.
perspective.
Yeah. And I guess if while finding that drive and finding that fuel to follow a path that you
Mm.
are now in, maybe everyone can share, how can someone develop that drive? Because, it's easy to be interested in something, but not really truly pursue it. And then be caught,
Mm.
with something else. And then essentially you're just kind of floating around with four different, I like soccer, I like photography, I like DJing, I like computer games, I want to be a computer gamer. So I think, especially when you're busy at work and you're busy in your kind of 9 to 5 job, and
Yeah.
you always have that. I always have, when I was working in the corporate industry, always, I want to do something that I love and I'm passionate about. But how would someone? I'd love to get your insights on how would someone develop that, that drive and that almost childlike curiosity to explore and go deep and to master that one particular thing. And I guess, yeah,
I
love
think
to
you
know.
know what.
Yeah,
Oh, sorry, Jackie, go ahead. Guess
go,
first.
Jackie, please.
So this is what I for myself. I mean, so you know
Mm,
how we say we have a passion for something.
mm,
That's your interest in something, right? Passion is more intense than interest. But I find that let's say for my let's say style, my interest in style, it's not even a passion. It is my arm already. Passion is
mm,
not an arm. Your arm is within you already, right? It's not separate. It's within
mm,
one. So when you have doing things that's within one, that's not passion. That's who you are as a core being already. Does that make sense?
mm.
Your
Yeah.
interest can
Embody.
change. Your interest can change. Your arm
Mm,
cannot change. Your arm is you,
mm,
right? So to say,
mm,
Romy, your beingness, your core, that's what God or your parents has given you as a character. You notice
Mm.
it, you utilize it, and now it becomes your second nature.
Mm.
Becomes
Mm.
Romy, right? Same as
Mm.
Andre. Andre is really super caring and very charismatic in his own way, very creative and very getting to know people. He notices that from his upbringing.
mm,
Later on, when he works, it becomes him. That's it's your breath already. It's not a passion.
mm,
Your
Mm.
breath is not a
Mm.
passion.
I
Your
love
breath is
that.
you.
To that,
mm. Yeah.
Jackie, love it. It's like your essence, and
Yeah,
even
yeah,
if
Mm,
you're
yeah, yeah. It
spiritual, you could take your
becomes
spirit, right?
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
I
yeah,
mm,
say
yeah,
this
yeah, yeah.
because I was on a journey to find myself. I went traveling. I did sales to find myself.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
what I've discovered is the journey to remember who I am.
Yes.
mm,
And
Mm.
by the journey of remembering who I am, to answer Lou's question, I realized
mm,
the purpose isn't something that just pops out of thin air. And some people do. They're
mm,
born and like,
mm,
woo,
mm,
yeah,
Yeah.
baby, I'm an old soul. I know what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
Doesn't
Yeah.
work. And taking the pressure off, your purpose is just to experience.
mm,
And
Mm.
through your experience, through your process of elimination, to know what you want, you know what you don't want.
mm,
Yes.
It
mm,
gets
Yes.
clearer with time.
Yes.
mm. Yeah. I
Yes.
love.
Yeah, I just want to quickly. Sorry, Luke. I know you love what he said, so
No,
sorry.
no, yeah.
Don't
Go.
cut you
No,
off.
please. Yeah, no.
But
That's okay.
maybe more scientifically, curiosity. What you talked about, I think,
Mm,
kind of that what you don't know that's fresh. We move towards, right. Like looking at my son Asher right now. He's curious about everything in his environment. I think I'm learning a lot from him, even though I'm quite curious myself as an artist. But I think curiosity exploration is kind of that next phase. You explore what you're curious about. You have this buildup of all these experiences. So it's like curiosity, exploration, and experiences. then you start doing the refinement. I think you have to really try to build on your passions, your interests, until you really discover something that you're like freaking you love and you're great at, and other people benefit at the same time
Mm.
from it. I think, you know, we talk
Mm.
about like ikigai, where it's like you can
Mm.
you're good at it, you love it, and you make money from it. I think
Mm.
it takes time to get to that level, but I think you have to find a way to fearlessly explore. Like there's that, because everyone is curious about stuff in
Mm.
different levels, obviously. Like some people have like, you know, turned the dial down so much because of other people's judgments of your upbringing
Mm.
that they're scared to explore their curiosity. But you know, everyone, like humans are born, their nature is to be curious.
Mm.
And then, you know, if you can find a group of people that can support and bring out and push you to explore, I think that is a first step. Like find a community that's supportive, you know, or you know, our stage right here is what we want to, you know, help people do is to start exploring for yourself, right? Like,
Mm.
and social media, I know as bad as some perspective of it is also a great channel that you can find new people to share
Mm.
this perspective with about exploration. But you truly have
Mm.
to build a lot of experiences before you can
Mm.
refine. Kind of like what Andre did when he went for like, you know, your exploration and discovery of yourself. I'm sure you built up all this experience, and then you're like, "Fuck, some didn't work, but some really works."
Mm.
You know, this is
Yeah.
what I'm good at. I'll just kind of, you know, funnel down again. So it's kind of like funneling up, and then you like funnel
But
down. Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
it,
Mm.
Yeah.
to add to your point, it's kind of like, for example, style clothing. You know how you hear a
Mm.
lot of men or ladies when you buy something, I want to look different. I want to
yeah,
look different.
Mm.
You know that mindset, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mm.
If you think about it, that's a copying other people, which means you don't even know yourself. That's why you want to look different. Versus if you
Mm.
ask yourself, what do you like? Oh, I like A. I like B. When
Yeah.
you do that really well, you will look different. Because
Yeah.
very few
Yeah,
people do that.
Mm.
It's you.
yeah,
Yeah.
That make
yeah, yeah,
sense?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That I
Mm.
think the security in confidence, like
Mm.
eventual, you know, when you find yourself, that self confidence, like anything you do, anything you wear,
That is different.
yeah, yeah,
Mm.
that's different because it's unique to you, right? Like when
Yes,
you
yeah,
explore, like I think Jackie, we talked about this where usually I would like wear my green hoodie, like University of Alberta green hoodie, which I bought from a student for like $15, and then
yeah,
I wore these like gold frames just to like
yeah.
heighten the contrast. To be like, okay, there's something there that's not normal, and I feel really proud wearing that because I'm like, first of all, I'm comfortable. That
Yes,
sweater is like super comfortable. But then when I add the gold metallic frame to it, I'm
yes,
like, I'm classy here. So
yes,
then I have this kind of artistic sense, and then plus my
yes,
environment. No matter what I wear, if I put it in this, it always looks decent, right? 'Cause I have this microphone, this gigantic black microphone in front of me. So there's always this is my armor, I think.
Mm.
And no, I'm very confident in doing that because I think people once they see that you're confident, they don't mess with you anymore because it's like
Mm.
they're so
Mm.
complex. I think
Mm.
self-confidence is so unique and complex that
Did,
they have no angle to come into attack anymore,
Mm.
and they just have to accept you for who you are, right? So
Mm.
it's
what
very very interesting. Yeah.
to add to your point too, I learned this around 4 or 5 years ago. So Sal, my friend, well, everyone knows
Yeah.
except Luke, Sal, right?
Mm.
Yeah.
He's like 4 or 5 years ago. He's like, Jackie, you are the brand. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Anybody can
Mm.
do what I do. That's what I thought. No, Jackie, you're the brand. I'm like, who can't sell suits, man? I don't understand this. But once I acknowledged that, I accepted, I choose to do the things that I do, and I accepted that, and people buy that. I see
Yes.
something. The psychology of one self acceptance, acknowledgement becomes confidence, and that's what people buy.
Mm.
That makes sense. Where a lot of us, we don't see ourselves as the number one cheerleader, while we buy other
Mm.
things. You can buy
Mm.
that, but you won't have the internal. It's not going to work overall, anyways.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Definitely. I think I do want to explore the other side of that too, though, in the sense of from Buddhism. When I studied a lot of Buddhism when I was like 17, and talked about 内外相对, which means the inside and outside contrast, and also the big gear driving the internal gear. So your environment can kind of drive your internal gear too. So it's how do you use the external to eventually drive the internal, and vice versa, the internal
Yes,
driving the
yes,
external too.
yes, yes.
It's a hard task, because when you don't know yourself, kind of what Remus is sharing here, I have that problem. I have no idea who I am. That is why people are so awkward around me, because I have no idea who I am. I portray awkwardness, trying portray figuring out who I am. So I think there is some positivity in wanting to utilize your external. Let's say you buy clothes to kind
Yeah,
of dress yourself up. Maybe now with fast fashion, it's a lot, lot more economical to explore now. It's not like you have to constantly buy like high end, like brand horror yourself out kind of thing, like what Andre is talking about. But let's say we go to H&M, look at all this clothing that you can outfit yourself with, or kind of cheap suits places, or Winners, where it's like not secondhand clothes, but clothes that are kind of off season. There's a lot of ways to explore clothing to build on your image, that you're eventually going to find something that you feel. It's not even that you feel great in, but you feel okay. This is something that's not bad, because I've felt that when I did my own exploration. And then I started meeting people and looking at how they dress, especially when I went to LA. That was a big piece, man. Shit, like people were confident
Yeah.
in whatever
Wow.
the
Yeah.
fuck they were. It was
No doubt.
amazing. And I
That's
was
when they
like,
go make it big,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. And I'm like, oh
Everybody's a
shit,
smart actor.
like
Yeah.
you're unique. Some people I'm
Yeah.
like, that when you wear your sandals with socks. I'm like
Yeah.
seeing
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
Adidas sandals. And then I was like, holy shit! It's like it looks like shit, but everyone's doing it.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, so do I do that to like fit in? But yeah, like you see people really try to outdress each other and be explorative with it. Even it might
yes.
look crappy, but the confidence that they bring with it is
Trendsetters.
very impressive. Yeah. So like what you talked about, Andre, I think essence is a great word. It's definitely something you need to explore to discover.
Yeah.
And it is sometimes challenging and painful. I think it takes a lot of courage to move on. Because let's say if you dress something new, you're not usually in a polo shirt, but you actually look good in it. And you dress in a polo shirt, you go out to situations, and someone suddenly says, "Whoa, you look different," and shit like that. And then you're like, "Is that positive or
Yes,
negative?" And
yes.
it's like mind
Yeah.
fucks with you, and
Self
you're like,
talk, self talk.
"Yeah, yeah, yeah." You still talk yourself out of it, and then you go back to your like t-shirt, jeans, very very common like outfits that doesn't stand out, but then you don't get those weird comments coming out.
Safe.
So it's like you have to be willing to battle kind of your own demons in a sense to explore, because eventually it'll be like, whoa, you look different, that looks awesome. It's like then you take that message as a positivity rather than I don't know what he
Yeah.
meant, because you don't give a fuck about what they say anymore. So yeah, like now I'm at a phase where I really don't care what other people say. I am yeah, that's right, Remus. You're right.
Yeah.
So
See, that's
Hundred.
yourself.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Your
exactly.
affirmation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You will find your not like essence, but your true being, not how you smell. Maybe you smell nice too, but
Yeah.
so yeah,
You gotta give yourself a chance to discover your essence,
yes,
You just like just said, like the exploration, the curiosity, you gotta go down that path.
yeah, yeah.
Then you
Yeah.
find your essence, and then you
It's
never let
tough.
go because
It's
you
a
grow
tough
your
Yeah.
road.
root.
It's
It
a tough
is.
road.
Yeah. And I think also finding the essence sometimes to a certain degree, I know I used to overcompensate. And so you find the range and the end point of the essence, and then you kind of pull, at least for me, I pull it back because I realized I was overcompensating my insecurities by being a certain way, by being a lot more outgoing, being a lot more chatty when that wasn't really me. But in order for me to know that, it was to go to the extent, the bounds, the limits of where I pushed myself, and okay, it's just like training as well. Oh, I got I told my pec, maybe I shouldn't do that. Like okay, maybe I should not lift that amount of weight. So I think it's just a case of, but I think it all comes back down, at least for me, is just to lean in and just keep growing, and just challenging myself every single day. And I think for me, at least, the easiest way forward is it starts with physical challenge, because that is the basis. If you can challenge yourself in the gym, challenge yourself at a run, it forms a basis of how you approach life in general. That's my perspective.
Yeah, I just want to quickly share kind of
Sure.
in Luke's perspective in terms of that idea of um basically failure. I think how do you see that piece? Because a lot of people are fearful of that piece. Hold on, let me see if I can bring this up. Give me 1 second. I just
Yeah. Yeah, Luke, what you shared there remind me of a moment where I had to be the loudest person in the room. I had to be the first person to share and look at me, right? To be loud in the room. And I received feedback from people that are like, yeah, you were confident, but like kind of arrogant or like very
yeah,
egocentric and it's all about you. And now to
totally.
the point where I'm like, I'm good. Like if there's a
Yeah,
group environment, I don't need to be the first one. You go ahead. I'm good.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
And then
Agreed.
people gave me feedback saying, you have this confidence, though it's not showy. And I want to get to know you because you're not out there, though you hold that energy well. Because I'm good within myself. I don't need to go out there and boast anymore.
yes. You know what? When you're unique, you're always first. There's no
Mm.
one.
There's no way
No,
around it. There's
True.
no way
yeah.
around it.
I love
You
that.
can't
There's
Love it.
compete. No one can compete with you. So it doesn't
Yes.
matter order because there's no order. You are the top and the bottom. If you want to see, you want to think about that. So,
Hey,
but yeah,
your
anyways,
kingdom, right?
yeah,
You're
yeah,
a
Yeah,
king
it
within
is.
kingdom, a queen
It's
within your
your
kingdom.
king. Yeah.
totally. And so this one's a quote. Like I've not found,
Yeah.
I've not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work.
Reframe.
So I think we've hit that past that hour mark. But I do want to kind of part with this message of yeah, stay curious and also explore, like build your kind of portfolio of experiences until you can pick the experiences that you truly shine in. I think it's same thing with outfits. I think with Jackie being here too, it's like you explore the different types of outfits, how you look. You have all these clothes in your wardrobe, but you'll go to those specific ones that you
Yeah.
really are shining in, right? So,
Mm.
but yeah, hopefully, people that are watching, Remus, I know you've been a great fan of ours. Hopefully,
Thank you,
that's
Remus.
Yeah,
been a
Remus.
benefit for you, especially with Jackie here. If you need a suit, I know you're in Edmonton, so definitely give Jackie a shout. But no, I really, first of all, want to thank Jackie for being here.
Appreciate that, guys. Appreciate that.
Yeah, you're always a great addition to any conversation because
Mm.
again, you're a great chameleon too. I think
Mm.
in terms of being able to fit in and hang out. So but with the same thing, like my I wouldn't say entourage. My friends here, Andre and Luke. I was gonna say my Andre. No, no, yeah, yeah, that's my Andre.
Andre and Luke, there we
Oh,
go.
that's gets a little weird. Not from the heart, from the heart. But yes, my friends here too. Always a pleasure and an honor to share information with you
Always.
guys. So hopefully, yeah, we'll keep bringing Jackie in because I do want him to share his know-how in terms of how to look great. Because I think this will benefit everybody. Um,
Definitely.
in future sessions, I do want to explore still the My Human Design. So Andre and Luke, if you guys have those connections, bring them
Sure.
in. We also have Jackie in the conversation still. I've spoken to my improv friend, the teacher
Oh,
in
yes.
UK. He's agreed, but he's just really busy writing for D&D right now, the company. So he said he will be done in about 2 weeks. So beginning of July is sometime he'll come on the show and then we can go through
Sweet.
some improv exercises that I think will build in how we communicate too, which I think will be super interesting. So it'll be really fun to watch for the viewers here too. But
I love that.
really
Love
inspired
that.
by you, Luke. I talked to him today. I'm like, would you be down to just join us
Ah,
and give us some
that'd be
lessons?
so
And
fun.
I know, like you're
That was
doing
super
the
fun.
lessons right now, right? You're saying,
No, 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 I
or
haven't. I
previously?
definitely want to get back into it. I used
Oh,
to
okay,
do
okay,
it, but I
yeah,
just
yeah,
think while I was doing it, it was just incredible. It was
so fun.
just being a kid again, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I think that's
Uh,
the thing. There's something precious and really,
mm,
really bright about being a
mm,
child that we need to all
mm,
kind of go back to, right? So,
mm.
no, again, thank you all, and thanks for everyone that's watching.
Thank
Hopefully,
you.
it's been a great benefit, and
Luke, Andre,
well, till next week.
well,
Thank you,
Good to meet you,
Jackie.
Jackie.
great. Thank you
See you
guys.
Pleasure,
next week.
Thanks for
pleasure.
sharing.